Welcome to the Real Life Secrets to Building, Growing, and Scaling a Lead-Generating, Revenue-Producing Coaching Practice. My name is Dan Spicani of K2 Development Systems. I'm excited that you're here, and we're going to pull back the curtain on the waiting list method. That is 8 steps guaranteed to produce real results. And you're here because you want to learn how to, or you want to sharpen your skills in growing a generating revenue producing coaching practice. I'm excited that you're here. For those of you on the call, I'm going to ask that you unmute yourselves to ask questions. Other than that, everyone will stay muted, but we're going to dive right into it. You are here for a specific reason, and I hope that reason is to generate more leads, more clients, and obviously more money without having to invest a ton of time and a ton of money. You know, lots of people can get you a coaching practice if you're willing to grind out and work 80 hours a week. Lots of people can get you clients if you're willing to spend thousands and thousands of dollars in marketing. But if you don't have 80 hours a week and you don't have tens of thousands of dollars to spend on marketing, this is the right webinar for you. Now, got one rule. If you're watching this, whether you're on live or you're watching the recording, my only rule is be here. If you keep multitasking on thousands of unimportant things, you will never do anything great. Let me repeat that. If you are constantly multitasking thousands of unimportant things, you'll never do anything great. And what are those thousands of unimportant things? It's reading Facebook while you're on a webinar. It's checking your email. It's being everywhere but where you are. So I'm going to make a promise to you. We're going to keep this concise. We're going to keep this action-packed, and I'm going to ask that you only do this while you're here so that you can get the most out of it. Also, so I don't have to answer about a bunch of the questions that were answered in it online. So this is not for you if you think you know everything. This is not for you if you're not open to challenging your beliefs or not willing to invest in your practice. But if you want off the feast or famine roller coaster, if you want to have a process for building a predictable and reproducible revenue, this is for you. You know, beliefs, one of the things I teach is our beliefs drive our perceptions. They drive how we interpret events, either good or bad. They drive our emotions, and we all know that most of our behaviors, what we do or don't do, is driven from our emotions. So I believe that beliefs are the key to everything. So if you have concrete beliefs about coaching, you have concrete beliefs about your consulting business that are hurting you, if you're not willing to change those beliefs, you're going to have a hard time with what I'm doing here, because a lot of the stuff I'm teaching here, I didn't believe was possible. And if you're not open to modifying your beliefs, adjusting your beliefs, there's really nothing else that I can do. You're going to be limited by your beliefs. We're all limited to the level of belief we have. So I'm going to ask you to open up your minds a little bit and see how other people have done it, including me. My name is Dan Spicani. I'm one of the co-founders of K2 Development Systems. I'm a business transformation coach, and my specific goal is to help 5,000 coaches and consultants. Now, I have taught through seminars and travel and on-site programs and coaching over 20,000 individuals in 49 states. I've spoken internationally as a coach, as a business development expert, and I am excited that you're here today. It is Saturday. This is live, so I know there's a lot of webinars out there that say they're live and they're not. It's Saturday, 3:06 Eastern Time, December 1st, 2018. Now, as I sit here today, December 1st, 2018, I can tell you there are some things I did right. There are a whole bunch of things I didn't do right. I didn't know how to build repeat business. You know, I was a one-and-done coach or consultant. I didn't know how to have a predictable income. It was really the hope theory. You just hope somebody, emails you. You hope somebody calls. I showed myself how not to sell. And I certainly didn't look for the right clients in the right places. I did a couple things right. And I want to share with some of the things I did right. And I will tell you, just generally speaking, learning from people who were experts. You see, stop taking flying lessons from chickens. What does that mean? That means if someone has not done what you want to do, why are you taking their advice? If someone has not been where you are, why would you let them lead you? So I'm telling you here straight up, I have been where some of you guys are, which is you don't have repeat business, you don't have predictable income, you don't know how to sell, and you don't know where to look for clients. And I'm telling you, I'm here now because of the system I'm going to share called the waiting list method. It's 8 steps. We're going to go through all 8 steps. Let's get ready and do it. The waiting list. So the first step is the power of a micro niche. Now, a niche or a niche is a small segment of business. You need to have a micro niche, especially if you're a coach, consultant, or a business-to-business service provider. So what is a micro niche? I tend to own and drive high mileage, early model luxury cars. So for instance, we have an older Lexus LS, and it's probably in my opinion, one of the best cars ever built. It's got the million-mile engine, the V8, the Toyota Lexus V8. It's a straightforward powertrain. It's just bulletproof. But when I'm looking for service for my car, I want someone who specifies in Toyota Lexus products, and especially high-end, high-mileage cars, because there's different rules for a Toyota or Lexus that's 2 years old versus one that's 12 or 14 years old. And so when I'm out there looking, I can specify high-mileage Lexus technician. And you know what? There's really intelligent technicians out there that will have that as their niche. And guess who I'm going to hire? I'm not going to hire the Joe's Automotive who works on everything. I'm going to hire the Joe who works on high mileage imports or Lexuses, because they know a lot more about what I want. That's the power of a micro niche. People will literally be drawn to you. And this, I got to tell you, this first step, when I'm dealing with authors, coaches, consultants who have been in the industry a long time, this is the one that takes them out, because they're like, well, no, I do everything. Well, how's that working for you? You do everything. Well, do you have all clients coming to you? You know, when you try to be all things to all people, you don't get to be anybody, they're nobody. So we need to niche down. We need to become specialized, at least for a season, until we develop some reproducible, passive, and residual, and what's the word? Predictable client income and client revenue. Plenty of Fish. I don't know if you use the app. I have some single friends who back in the day used that app. And this is how I look at a lot of trainers, authors, coaches, consultants. There's plenty of fish out there. I just need one. Well, this is a dating site, I guess. I don't even know if it still exists, but I like the logo. And because it relates perfectly with this. You have all these fish out in the ocean. You have all these fish in the sea. What are you fishing for? You know, and too many coaches, consultants are just generic with that. Well, I just want a client. Any fish will do. If you're honest, you would take any coaching client. And what happens is, because you're so generic, yes, right, you don't stand out from any of the other millions of coaches out there online. And so what we do is teach you how to find your micro niche, the thing that you are an expert at, the thing that you're super qualified for, the thing that you're probably even passionate about. We figure out who's the client that likes that bait, and then we get that bait out there and we go get that client. Now, if you've ever gone fishing, you know there's all kinds of different baits and lures and Rapalas and spinners. First, we need to define who your specific niche is. Then we got to figure out, what do they like? What do they need? What are their pain points? And that's the power of a micro niche. I don't have to fish for all fish. I'm just going to specifically fish for what I want. Now, any of you who have gone fishing know that I could be set up and rigged up for, let's say, walleye. You know, I'm in the Great Lakes region, and that's kind of the prize fish in the Great Lakes is a walleye. But what happens? Once in a while, you'll still catch perch on it. Once in a while, you'll catch a catfish. And, you know, for some of you guys, that perch or that catfish, you'd be like glad to get that. So I'm okay with ancillary coaching clients. But what we're going to do is design everything to get one specific fish. And because of that, you're going to look like an expert. You're going to have an appeal, and you're even going to get some ancillary work from it. So step one is figuring out your micro niche. Step two that you need to do to really have a reproducible income, in the waiting list method, we say it is the importance of your signature solution. And this works directly off of step one. What is the thing that you can do that is signature to you? Now think about a signature. What's a signature? Signature, if we describe a signature, it's one of a kind. to this day, we still sign things, even digitally, right? If you bought a house recently, you know that they're having you sign digitally, but they want a unique signature. And that's no different than in our coaching practices and our consulting businesses. We need a signature solution, something that's unique, that screams Dan Spicania. That's a Dan Spicania product. That's a Dan Spicania resource. So we have to figure out our signature solution. You got all these coaches, all these consultants, all these choices. What makes you different than them? What makes you stand out? If you don't do this, you are going to blend in with the rest of them, which means you're not going to attract the right clients. You will just be on hope theory, just hoping somebody calls you. So do you have a signature solution that's specifically yours? Think of all the automotive brands out there. I mentioned I'm a big Toyota Lexus guy. But there's one brand here that I've owned and probably will own again because they are specifically, they have a signature style. In other words, the way it drives and handles and feels is signature. There's literally nothing like it. So from my years in the automotive fixed operations side of business, I've been in just about every car that's sold here in the US, in Canada. And I could close my eyes. You could drop me in this car, and in 2 seconds, I could tell you what that car is. And if you've owned one, you know what I'm talking about. Of course, it's German or German originated, but it's BMW. Now, BMW to me means bring my wallet, because if you own one out of warranty, you're going to need your wallet because they break every time you look at them. But I got to tell you, my son's looking at one again. He had a 3 Series, and it ruined him. It was his first car. And boy, you give a 16-year-old a 3 Series to drive to high school, and he doesn't want to drive a Toyota anymore because it doesn't feel the same. And I honestly, I agree with him, but the Toyota feels better to my wallet. But we ended up looking at one, and I got in and test drove it, and I got to tell you, there it was. That's that BMW steering, that handling, the sound, everything. It's just so specific. So big BMW fan as far as handling and performance, and it gets you emotional about it. Maybe you feel that way about Subaru. You just used to that all-wheel drive and the way it handles, or maybe you're a Volkswagen Audi person and you like to. But be signature in your practice. You don't want to blend into everybody else. You want to have a signature solution. So what is it that you provide that is unique to your business? All right. Number 3, the waiting list method. Now you got to automate your message. And this is huge because if you don't, you're going to burn out. Here's some Android robots in there. You have to find a way to take advantage and leverage artificial intelligence or robots or technology to create an automatic message that's being broadcast out there. Now, I've taken some of the marketing classes and social media, and the challenge with this is some of those are so labor intensive. It's like they think that's all I could do is social media. And we really have 3 choices. We do it ourselves, we have someone help us with it, or we pay someone to do it for us. And I will tell you what we've done is combine both methods, where we do it for ourselves, but we leverage technology so that we can get some rest, because we all are going to burn out. We need to sleep. And, nothing will burn you out like working for yourself 24/7, night and day. And with your social media presence and leveraging the internet, it can be exhausting. So we want to be able to sleep at night knowing that our message is still going out there, knowing that our system and our process is still working. So we need to automate our message. If you're not automated, you're going to burn out. All right, waiting list method. Number 4 is the permission-based marketing. We call it the potential of permission marketing. And some of you maybe not have heard that term, permission marketing. Well, what's the opposite of that? The opposite of that is pretty much what 80% of the marketing is. It's just shotgun blasting. And I got to tell you, when I watch YouTube videos, you know what happens. First, you got to watch an ad. We can't wait to what? Skip that ad, skip that ad. I am at the point where if they didn't ask me to market to me, I will purposely not look at the screen. I'll look away while the ad's running. I'm not going to hear it. It's muted. I'm not looking at your ad because you didn't ask my permission. You didn't even know me. You don't care about me. And I don't like you. And boy, how many coaches and consultants and trainers fall into this category, right? They just blast you with ad after ad. And what do? You spam them. You put them on your spam filter, you put them on your unroll list, you block them, you unfriend them. And that's the last thing we want to do. We want to get them to say yes. Robert Cialdini did a lot of research in this, Dr. Robert Cialdini, on the psychology of saying yes and the nod mentality, and it literally rewires your brain. And so what happened? If you've gotten one of these telemarketing calls, what do? They ask you a yes question. And they ask you a question you can't say no to, but then what happens? Because we've heard people use this technique, our guard goes up even higher. And so what we're doing is understanding the relationship between business to business, and we're using the power of yes in actually a transverse way. We get them to say no to a question that they assume would be a yes question. Sounds a little tricky. It is a little, well, there's a lot of psychology in it. But the key is, are you taking into fact your client's needs? Are you building a relationship? Are you getting permission to send them an offer? If you're not getting permission to send an offer, I got news for you. If people are like me, they're muting you. They're looking away. And even if they do need your product, they're gonna look somewhere else because you didn't ask permission to market to them. All right, waiting list method. Next is, how do you structure a selling conversation? I have to tell you, this is probably the Achilles heel of most coaches and trainers. Now, why? You got into coaching, training, personal development, business development because of your passion, probably because of your mess to success story. In other words, you had a problem and these skills, tools, and methods helped you, and now you're helping people and you're passionate about that. And to me, that's what it's about. However, your Achilles heel is closing people. How do you close a sale without sounding salesy? If you don't know how to structure a selling conversation, it doesn't matter how good your product is. You're going to turn into Tommy Boy. You're going to turn into all the stereotypes of I killed my sale. You're going to oversell. You're going to overtalk. Coffee is for closers. And what that means is, look, I'm drinking actually a homemade espresso here. It's a latte and 160 degrees steamed milk with a little hazelnut, Lavazza Italian espresso. Coffee's for closers. In other words, the rewards of this industry are only for those who know how to sell it. I don't care if you have the best product or service out there. If you don't know how to sell it, how does that benefit your clients? It doesn't, because they're never going to hear about you. So coffee's for closers. Coaches need to be closers too. Do you know how to structure a selling conversation? Or do you just go diarrhea of the mouth, get all heart rate up, sweaty, and then just blast them with discounts? So many times it's the first thing we do when we either get a no, an objection, or a pushback is we cut the price. Now let me ask you, what does that do? If the first comeback you have is cut the price, what is the client's perception of you? Well, if you're asking me, what I would tell you, the client perceives that you're a swindler because you were just going to charge me double and now you cut the price in half for no reason. What does the client perceive of your product? Well, it's cheap. You were overcharging me for it. If you don't know how to structure a selling conversation, you're going to seem illegitimate. You're going to seem kind of shystery, salesy at very best. And for certain, the person at the end user is not going to perceive the value that your product and service may have. All right, I know we're flying, and so if you have a question, I'd love to answer it. But the next step is the significance of producing real results. And this can be the next biggest challenge. Next to selling, I would tell you that most authors, trainers, coaches, consultants, the ones that don't succeed typically don't know how to show specific, measurable, and realistic results. So we all know the SMART goal model: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, or realistic, and then time-based. What we want to focus on is specific and measurable. Does your client understand the specific and measurable results? Now, in management, we all know that what gets measured in organizational leadership, what gets measured gets what? What gets measured gets improved. And in coaching, what gets measured gets paid for. If you're not measuring it, you can't prove it and they won't pay for it. So we have to provide specific, real, tangible results. Now, if you're a life coach, what are your tangible results? You know, that can be a challenge. Well, I sell happiness, personal fulfillment. Well, you have to quantify it, which means what? We probably have to measure it on the front. And then we have to measure it on the back end and then show the gap and justify, quantify, and monetize that. You should be paid for the value you're bringing. But if they don't understand the value, you can expect not to be paid. All right, and next is on the waiting list is the right way to price transformation. This is a tough one for new trainers and coaches. I remember the first time I got a coaching client and they asked me how much my fee was, and I think I just blurted out the last thing I heard a coach say they were charging, which was like $400. And I will tell you, I coached that client for 4 months on $400. And to this day, that client, their life is being impacted by the time we spent together. And I look back and I thought, I will never, ever coach for that amount again. And the reason is I take my clients personally. I take them seriously. I pray for my clients. I spend time off of the call, you know, planning, thinking, brainstorming. To me, it's very personal because I guarantee the results. And for $400, I start to resent my clients because, for one, they're getting a cheap product, and so you know how that is. When you go get a 99-cent hamburger, even when you're done, you don't feel that good. Even though it filled you, even though maybe it was a great value on price, you're still not satisfied. It's not a win-win. You know, the analogy I was thinking of is nobody buys a drill because they want a drill. They buy a drill because they want a hole. And so many times when we're pricing our product, we're looking at the specifications. It's a 20 volts max. It's a cordless. It has a 3/8 inch, you know, truck on it. You know, people don't care about that. They're there because they want a hole. And, you know, we could take it another step with DeWalt, one of the higher end products out there, right? One of the most expensive drills you can buy. You see that yellow and black DeWalt on there, and you know you're gonna, you know, it's like BMW. Bring your wallet. Ain't gonna be cheap. Do you know who makes DeWalt? That's right, Black & Decker. Do you really think they have separate factories for the DeWalt and the Black & Decker drills? No, but they know that some people need that high-end product. They want to feel good. They want the warranty, whatever it is. They want the whole. They want the result that getting that product gives them. Okay, so price your products accordingly. I'm reading a book, finished a book recently called Never Split the Difference. And he tells a story about a husband and a wife, and he was getting dressed for an event, and he put on his suit and he put on his brown shoes, and his wife said, no, you need to wear the black shoes. And he said, no, I want to wear the brown ones. I think they look better. So they compromised, and this is how he went to the event. You know, Chris Voss, the author of Never Split the Difference, talks about never compromise. And I think that applies to our price. You know, we think it's win-win, but if you both compromise, then you both lose a little bit. So you need to understand the real value of your products. You need to know how to price them. And it ties into the real, specific, and measurable, tangible results your product or service brings. But we don't want to end up looking like this because who really won there? Yeah, nobody. All right, the waiting list method. Last step is the impact of staying front of mind. So you've figured out your micro niche, you've figured out who your clients are, what kind of bait they like, you're using it, you've automated it, you've created a solution that's signature, you know how to get in front of your clients, you know how to ask permission and show real value. Now you've got to stay front of mind. And I actually kind of do a twist on this. You know, I've done a lot of study in how our brains work, and your brain's kind of broken up into the conscious and the unconscious. And Earl Nightingale said, whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality. And in the waiting list, what I teach my clients is you want to stay back of mind. We call it front of mind, but it's really back of mind. You want to be in their subliminal. You want them to know that when they're ready for your product or service, you're the go-to because you've always been there and you've identified yourself as the expert in that field. So I call it, you know, we call it stay front of mind. I call it stay subconscious mind. This is why advertisers will pay so much just to put a logo on a wall or a jersey, because you're going to see it repeatedly. And when you're in the market for that item, science shows, studies have shown that you will pay more to get the one with that logo, even if you don't know why, even if there are no logical reasons to pay more. So let me ask you this. What if you could put all this together and you could have 2 or 3 clients coming to you per month, paying a premium price for your signature solution? What if you get 6 to 9? What would that do for your life? What would that change? And the real question is, what if you don't do it? What's going to happen? You know, 2019 is right around the corner. Some of you are looking for a job, which we call just over broke. You're looking for a job because you don't really believe that you can do it. Well, these 8 steps in the waiting list are put together by Dr. Stephen Kalalui. He's one of our co-founders of K2DS. And, you know, it's thousands of dollars of training, coaching, and seminars and books are put into the simplest pill form. You can do these 8 steps, and if you do them right, you do them in order, you can produce reproducible, consistent, higher value pays and income and consultant fees. You don't have to be that $400 life coach. You know, if you want to, if that's your belief of your value of your product, then price it appropriately, you know. But so many of us are running around with MacBooks because of that perceived value. You know, Apple showed they can take the same Intel processor, they can take the same hard drive, and they can mark it up 30% or higher because people perceive it's a high-end product. What if that were you? What if you had that? What would it look like? Let me ask you a question. Are you ready? These are the 8 steps. Develop your micro niche. Understand how to create a signature solution. Automate your message. Learn how to ask permission to market. You better know how to close it by showing real results that are priced appropriately. And then all you do is rerun it. What's exciting is once you get these 8 steps and you know how to do all of these, you can rebrand yourself. We had one client who was in a niche or a niche, however you say it, for 6 to 9 months, and they were like, wow, this is great, this is tremendous. And then what happened is they wanted to dive into a different area. And so they shifted completely everything and said, wow, it worked in that area too. And well, why wouldn't it? You're dealing with people. The way the internet is today, there's no reason to spend, you know, thousands of dollars having someone do something that you can do for $12 a month. There's no reason you can't do it. If you have a computer or a smartphone, you can do it. If you have questions, if you want more information about the waiting list or about any of these steps, because some of you guys, maybe you have your niche, maybe you're branded appropriately, but you're like, well, what is this signature solution about? Or how do you stay front of mind? Or maybe you're like Tommy Boy, you suck at sales. You can book a call with me. Just click the link there. I offer a 40-minute consultation. There's at least 4 questions I'll have you answer before we get on the call, or have ready the answers, because I'm not going to get on the call if you're not serious about doing the work. But if you're serious and you want answers, you book a free call. You can also go to my LinkedIn page, and there is a scheduling link there. Just click it and pick a time slot that is open and is convenient for you. Again, my name is Dan Spicagna. I am glad you are here, and I look forward to helping you be your best in the future. Take care. God bless.